Okay, that's about like 65%. So that's good.
Okay.
All right, I got to get the right notebook because fun fact about me, I love notebooks you can buy at Walgreens that are like $6 and they got hard copy.
Hmm.
And I've
So I do
you see
everything in
three
my
right
notes
here.
app.
I got six more. I got like six more of these. I got
I
one
used to do
for
that, but now I definitely do. Oh wow, I'm actually looking kind of
you
jacked
are.
right now.
Yeah, you are. I was about to say you're looking good, man. That's what I was going to say
Thank
too.
you. Thank you. I lost a little bit of weight,
We are
and
just getting through our audio first.
oh yeah, damn.
You
Black
know what's
looks good
crazy
on me.
is like I got one for like just like general notes. I got one for like work, and then I got one for or one for soccer. Then I got this one with the green pen. That's for the challenge. Um, and this. And then I got stuff for my like daily reporter stuff that are in these. Like I have notebooks everywhere, man.
You are such an adorable nerd.
Thanks,
It
man.
is in all of the best ways.
I got a top 10 list right here of
Ooh, I'm super
top 10
excited.
times having power backfired, which we talked about. Like top,
It's funny
top
because
10 best challenge fights ever.
oh,
Yeah.
and you know what? Of course, Nia and Avery. Oh well, that wasn't really a challenge fight, so
No, that's real world.
that's a real world.
Which
And I was thinking too. I was like, man, real world Portland representation is strong this season.
I literally always forget that Jordan and Avery are friends. Like I always forget that.
Well,
Um,
Avery's been gone forever.
right. But it's always something I just kind of forget and I'm like, oh yeah, yeah,
Oh
duh.
yeah, of
Like
course, duh.
I even have best top 10 best rookie seasons,
Oh, that'd be great.
which um which yeah, I mean, there's no
Where's
rookies on
Turbo
this
on that?
season. Um
He got to be at least
so
in the top five.
this isn't in order. These are just people I want to put in and then it was a discussion with you. Turbo is on there. We
Of
have
course.
we got Frank from Battle of the Seasons. We were just
I was
talking
just
about
talking about
that.
Frank.
Yep. Yep. We got
Yeah, you know what it was? I
CT
was
on
feeling
Inferno 1.
I was feeling like I didn't give Frank a fair shake because I think because I didn't like Battle of the Seasons that much, and
He
then
is
going
better
back
on
and
rewatch.
it's so much better on rewatch, so much better, and I have a little bit more um admiration and appreciation for who Frank was in that series. So I'm really going to go back and rewatch the whole thing, which is pretty great because that's about where I'm at anyway on my epic. I do this once a year. Once a year, I'll run through all of the seasons at least once. But oh man, there's so much to discuss today.
This is
I put out a tweet
yeah.
earlier that I know I'm a terrible person for enjoying what was happening to Josh so much, so much. And we're gonna do a real
Um
deep dive into that. I
mm,
was loving it.
I'm gonna be on the other side of it. I'm gonna let you know right now. I
Okay,
am gonna be on Josh's side, so we'll get to that. So,
all right, awesome.
which is a
All right,
first for me.
let's go ahead and jump into this. What's
Yeah.
really good, Posters? Welcome to another episode of Love, War, Challenges. I am the incredibly jacked MTV Malik. He is the adorable nerd, Tyler Louder.
Incredibly plump.
What's really good? Gang, 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 gang. Before I get into it, I want to just give a big shout out to some of our cohorts. Um, the Stir the Pod, Pages Most Likely to Pod. Oh, hold on a second.
Challenge Unbothered.
Yeah, sorry, I'm getting like emergency text right now. Yes, Challenge Unbothered, Off the Hook Pod. Just a big shout out to those guys. Challenge Unbothered as a podcast and Facebook group. I'm hardly on. I know I suck, but big shout out to you guys. Let's go ahead and jump right into the episode. Very top of the episode, Cara mentioned that CT and Jordan was cheering the loudest for her.
So CT makes sense, right? Immediately
CT
I
makes
was sitting
sense.
there and I was like, wait a second, but I don't know if, and then all of a sudden I was like, you know what this is? This is called growth, is what
Mm-hmm.
we're seeing here. And we have to call out Kara for it because she was so anti like Jordan and Tori and everything back in the past. When if you just would have been a teammate, they don't go to the other side. You don't lose that final probably because Jordan's in that four with you. Um, yeah, I think it was just a good representation of growth for both her and Jordan. And CT made the most sense, obviously.
Obviously, and there was photos going around Cora and Jordan appeared on the Zach Nichols podcast. And big shout out to Zach Nichols because his rebrand as a podcaster, one, is making him so much more affable and likable.
Yep.
Two, in some areas, we do see some growth. This, he apologized for his behavior to Sam, and he makes a lot of sense when he's talking about the female cast members. And
He's
he
had John A on recently too.
Exactly. And it made a very big apology. And it sounded sincere as fuck. Like,
he's more mature. He's in a better place. I'll let you know though, he is pretty upset. He didn't even get a location, like an availability call for this season. Didn't even get a call to say, are you available? Didn't even get that. Isn't that kind of odd? Like when you think of people for Era 3, wouldn't he fit the mold?
Yeah. And from Era 3, he's a heavy hitter. He was on plenty of seasons. He has plenty of drama. There's plenty of storylines. He has
a championship.
Johnny is here, which is going to be great. His wife could have came too.
Well, we could have had the dynamic of him. Well, I think she might have just had a baby recently too. And also, by the way, I just went through and this is really late, but apparently on our casting one, when we were like, who else should have been cast for season series Era 4 or whatever, and I said Cam, I didn't know she just had a baby. Like, I don't know if people know this, but I stay away from all, like, when we are about a month or two out from the challenge, I stay away from challenge. I mute all challenge 40 on Twitter. I leave groups on Facebook. I stay away because I don't get spoiled.
It makes sense. Yeah, because you're going to get... That was the agreement I made a while ago. If I'm going to be on challenge Twitter, I'm going to get spoiled, and I can't keep bitching about it.
Right.
Moving on, Era 4 loses Paulie and Nerys. And I was just like, man, for Era 4, this is pretty fucking devastating. Agree or disagree?
It's a major blow, both politically and like if you think like mentally with like puzzles and everything. Like Paulie is one of the most well-rounded competitors we've ever seen on the show. We have to give credit. He's not the best in any category, but he's like he's Jordan at home. To say that, like, and I don't mean that in disrespect to Paulie.
No, I get you.
But it's more so like we put Jordan on this pedestal of like here, and he's great at everything. Paulie is like a tier down. He's just good at everything. And that's where I put it. And I think that's a very good thing, by the way, when we rank challengers, because a lot of times, like, why do people not like certain challengers? Because they are the worst at something. They are terrible at something. And Nerys, I think, brings a really good politics to her game. I think she's really good at puzzles as well. So I think it is going to hurt the team because there's a lot of brute strength over there. And it's going to be a lot of, hey, Kylan, can you do this puzzle? Hey, Michelle, can you do this? And if they can't, they're going to go down.
Absolutely. I thought it was utterly devastating. On my notes, I had, we see some hookups and we're aware of most of them right now. The Josh and Nia thing was kind of new for me. I was going to get into it here, but I think we can just save it for a little bit. We'll get into it a little bit later.
Yeah.
When we get to the daily, TJ asked for one woman in each team as representative.
Hold on.
Oh, what did we miss?
We missed something. So in hindsight, it didn't make sense. Like when we were watching it first, but in hindsight, it makes sense. But when we were watching, Tony's like slight dig on Leroy was unnecessary, especially for somebody you kind of call a friend. Like I thought Leroy was going to be stronger, but maybe I underestimated myself. He didn't have to say that. He didn't. He could have just said, I thought I was an underdog in that game. And you know what? Maybe I'm better than I think. That's all he had to say. He didn't have to be like, I thought Leroy would be stronger.
Yes. Like, dude, and we all know people who do this. This is the obvious case of somebody who is putting somebody down to big themselves up. It was unnecessary.
And I think the editing left it in because of how the rest of the episode goes. Like he kind of sets himself up to make himself look like an ass.
Yes, and a lot of Tony, one of his biggest strengths was him being affable, his likability, and his likability has just been taking a shot. Not so much for his comeback. And I wanted to talk about that too. We'll get into how we're going to view Tony's comeback to the challenge, which I don't look at in its greatest light. But knocking up the daily.
Yeah, yes, let's do it.
TJ asked for representatives from each team. And I was thinking too, I was just like, a lot of this stuff doesn't benefit Era 4. Because if Era 4 didn't go through their rewatches, they probably didn't even realize that if you're a captain, you're going to be on the line later on.
Yeah, but
Uh,
here's the big thing though. I mean, this is season 31 on, and I'm trying to think. Do we have Theo was on season 32, right? No, 33.
33.
33. Theo was on 33. It was his first season. So it's like it's not like this is brand new. Um this was a missed opportunity for a CT pro tip. Don't ever nominate yourself. Like CT pro tip, don't ever nominate yourself and then
Yeah,
step back. Like
100%. I love the CT pro tips.
they're the best.
They need that needs to be there every season, even if CT is not there.
Yeah.
And they could just keep bringing those back. Oh yeah, we talked about it. So the representatives are Jody Durrell, Derek and Aviv, Tony and Avery, Casey and Colin. And the name of this daily is Gladdy Eater. And as soon as I seen it, I knew I hated it because I've been very clear about how I feel about eating challenges. There's there's a couple of things that the challenge can leave and never bring back. I'm gonna list out those three things. One, there's never no need to have people stealing money
Mhm.
at the end. Even if you announce it before the final, after the final, never need to have people stealing money. Two, we don't need eating challenges ever. I don't think it's no real skill. I mean, maybe a little bit of willpower, but it's it doesn't belong. It doesn't need one of these things. Do not belong, and it's crazy because I had a third thing and I can't remember exactly what it was.
So it does add it is an advantage because we saw Tori put down her drink faster than any other era put down theirs. Tony put down his food faster than anybody in theirs. Those it seems like not, but like those 30 seconds to 2 minute advantages you get per person do make a difference. Now, I agree with you on the eating challenges only because this season was so much different. But in the past, there was so much emphasis on like, let's show how many people throwing up we can. Like, can we get like everybody throwing up and
The
let's
throw up
throw like a
shots.
slow motion, long. We didn't really get that. It was kind of nice. We saw like two or three people throwing up, but it was like straight into a bucket. We didn't even see it really. So I was sitting there and I was like, okay, not bad. It pretty much went by and it was done.
I would also say that the food, although disgusting, not as disgusting as it could have been. Grubs, we've seen people eat those before. It's not the worst thing in the world. A
I
rat
think the
is
fried, but
weird, but at least it's
it was
cooked.
fried. It was fried.
Yeah,
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 it was like it was. You could tell yourself like that it was chicken. Like you could tell
exactly.
your mind that it was chicken.
I found a lot of this stuff on this eating challenge to be a lot more palatable than some of the other stuff.
Mhm.
Tofu, okay,
A
the cow
vegan
eyeball.
option.
Yeah, the cow eyeball, of course, no, but you know, I was thinking, I was like, you know what? I would definitely go for the rat because at least I get some protein.
Yeah, and so we get this fun, interesting thing where like Era One does exactly this is exactly how I thought it would be. Era Four out the gate should physically dominate, do that part really well. Era One should know the final part, the puzzle part. This is where the balance of these seasons go, and it's like, well, that's not Era One has a better advantage at knowing all the seasons. It's like, yeah, but
Right.
Era Four is more
And
physical,
and that's what I was
and
thinking. Like, Ever Four probably can't do all this
I'll
together
tell you
and
right
can't
now,
put it all together.
I can't. I don't know where Battle of the Sexes go because they are the worst at competition shows in the world. Like
But you
seasons.
also know enough to where to put the other pieces where you end up finding that out. I was thinking the same
Probably.
thing. I can't rattle off all 40 seasons at the top of my head, but if you gave me all 40 of them, I'll probably be able to figure it out just because I've been a fan for so long. But
Yeah.
I was thinking like, oh, this is gonna fuck season four, Ever Four up because a lot of them famously did not do a lot of research before coming here or know all of the history
They didn't even
that
have
it
to.
entails.
Naya was talking about Tori the night before, was just looking at all the things and just ordering them and because they're all over the house.
It's
They
easy to bag on Tori for a lot of her missteps and some of the ways that she conducts herself in the house, but game got to recognize game. That is great
Mhm.
gamemanship. I've been doing this
She's a
enough
vet.
to have all of these posters up here. Better pay attention because you never know, it might bite us in the ass. Very, very smart of her. She should get all the credit in the world for that.
Yeah, and she should.
So
And also, we got to talk about. I mean, Jordan said the best thing. He's like, "I'm a team player, so tell me what to do, and I'll do it." Like that's how every
I
era kind of has to be. You have to have people just fall into place.
so I came upon a really big realization on Jordan. I'm going to get into that later on, and I'm going to explain it. But that comment definitely plays a part.
You're a fan. You're a fan now. You're gonna.
No, 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 no. We're going to get into it. Um, the thing about this challenge, outside of the eating thing, which I thought was actually done way better than it has in the past, pretty solid daily. You got
Yep.
the rowboat, and you know, and I was thinking, I was like, this is really well put together for a team
Hmm.
because it's really everybody's really gonna have to contribute to some point. And I really thought it was great. Like I'm not a huge fan of the eating part, but the eating part didn't mess up the daily for me. So I really, really liked it. The rowing part, the eating part, whatever, and then the puzzle at the end. And I thought it put a lot of different skills together. Even though I don't think eating has a whole lot of skills, but
No,
I
but
really liked the daily.
there was some strategy to it too, as well, of like who eats first, like who's can get as fast. What do you eat first? Who do you save what for what? Like because there are some people that probably looked at the tofu and were like, I can do that. Like I will do that if you guys take the rest. You know what I mean? So it's not
Hmm.
like everybody's got to eat cow tongue and then three people are like, I can't. Like now it's like, okay, pick what you can do. And I thought the organization of seasons was great. So they actually did this on Dirty 30, where they had them rank all 30 seasons like in order. Remember, it was the thing that they kept
Hmm.
pulling Camilla into the poll and
Yeah.
smacking her, and we didn't even realize like
And,
how great that editing was of showing that, like how much she deserved
yeah.
that. We didn't even
Yeah, it
realize
was
it.
great. They also did something like that on Cutthroat in the final.
Yep.
Only they had I think it was the cities
It
of
was the cities of where they were, and they had an extra piece.
mhm.
Yeah, so
So
like
very similar.
memorizing.
Um,
Um, yeah,
you know, I want to talk about the placing because everyone coming in last really, really threw me for a loop. Being for the fact that everyone has the most experience with playing with teams. You know, the first, 12 seasons of the challenge, it was really, really big on teams. And so it was shocking to me that they couldn't really get it all together when they all have the most experience of playing with teams
yeah,
and
but they
working
were
with these
competing against them.
personalities.
They were competing against themselves back then. They were competing against other people that
Mhm.
were just like them. So it's kind of like basketball players in the 80s really couldn't hang today's game. Like that's just how it kind of comes down to. We have a couple pieces that we can pull, like the night. Like sure,
So,
we can even say the 90s. We can even say these are the 90s players.
somebody just said that too. Said
Kids Michael Jordan, he can fit, but not
Anthony
everybody
Edwards
can.
just
Yeah,
said, oh yeah, because you're a sports guy too.
and
Anthony
the
Edwards was just like,
90s, the 90s is
yeah,
no skill except for
no
Jordan.
skill. Magic Johnson bombed on him. He's like, yeah, Jordan was cool, but that was it. And I thought,
Magic Johnson though is slightly an idiot with that too, of like he doesn't have a championship, so I'm not talking to him. It's like, dude, you played with like one of the greatest basketball players of all time. Stop. Like
he was one of the greatest basketball players of all time. But also,
Take away Kareem.
but also, could take away Kareem from anything. It'd be the same. But also, what it does is it discredits Anthony Edwards a little bit.
It does.
Like you may not know what you're talking about so much because you don't have a championship, and I have so many, including
Yeah.
ones in college, including
Yeah.
ones in high school. So I know what I'm talking. Yeah, another chance of putting somebody down to big yourself up. Even though I think Anthony Edwards kind of deserved it, and I don't. And this is what I like about Magic Johnson. He didn't go too hard. He didn't go overboard. I thought it was proportionate.
I think there's just a way that like you can say things to just I don't know. There's better ways to go about it. But anyways, when
Anyway, moving on.
I look at the eras kind of as like different eras of athletics and everything, and it's like they don't translate because you're not as strong as you are. I mean, your mental state is better, your mind is better, your teamwork is better, your ability to delegate is probably better, but that doesn't matter in like the beginning part if Brad doesn't know how to turn a rotor. Like if he doesn't know, like, oh, we're going this way, and then he just peels it this way, and the boat just like zigzags. It's like if
I'm
he
glad
doesn't
you
know how
talked
to do
about.
that.
I'm very glad you talked about transition and skill because I've wrestled for a long time. I've wrestled for 7 years. I was very, very good at it. And a couple of years ago, I started jujitsu. And like, oh, this is going to be perfect because I've wrestled for so many years. Jujitsu is just like another. Nope, nope.
No,
Did, did not work.
and
I had a 160-pound guy hanging off me from my arm, strangling me with my own T-shirt. So
I believe it. And here's the thing. Here's the thing. Your wrestling background, you could wrestle today, and your mindset of knowing
mhm,
how to do what to do will stay the
it's,
same.
it
It might be
snaps right in.
sharper, but your physical strength and agility is deteriorated from what it used to
Not
be.
with the my
From what
favorite
it
saying these
used to
days
be.
is not these 40-year-old knees. Every time I'm doing
Yeah.
something, hey, we need somebody to climb this ladder. Not with these knees, I'm not.
Not the no. So that's just the difference there. But I mean, overall, I think the placement made sense. Era 3 gets the win. Era 2 comes in second. Era 4's third, and Era 1's last. It made sense because of the aspect of the physicalness and the eating. Like you know, um, it just made the most sense because Era 4 could have been there 30 minutes before everybody. I don't think they were going to ever finish that puzzle.
Yeah. Yeah, never. Now, let's get into the after daily drama.
Well,
There's a lot of it.
how about TJ dropping that bomb? It's like, oh, you nominated yourself for being a representative? Well, you're going into elimination, maybe. Like,
How's that a bomb? Who the fuck didn't see that coming? Ever for maybe, because you know you guys are big, you guys are children, and y'all don't know yet. But everybody else should have seen that coming. Ever 3 and above, well,
yeah.
maybe ever 3 not so much. Ever 1 and 2 definitely saw that coming.
It's so interesting how do you pick that going forward? Like, you know, it's there now. Like, how do you pick well, I guess you don't pick it now going forward because now we have targets, but still it's like man, you knew
I'm
that
not
that
gonna
could
lie,
happen.
because I was really tired, and so they was explaining the targets, like, and when they was, I got really confused at the end of this episode. I'm gonna get into that.
I got you, don't worry, I got
Thank you. And I was like, I can't wait till I talk to Tyler so he can explain to me what the fuck is going on. Because like when we get to the elimination, I was just like, I was so glad that they were also confused. I was like, I don't know what the fuck they're talking about. And then when it came to the targets, I was like, I kind of get it, not sure, but I know who will get it. So Tyler will break it down for me and you guys.
And
So
what's really interesting is that Era 3, we'll have to get to this too, but Era 3 put up Tony and Avery as scapegoats, is what they did. They were like, you're in the bottom of the totem pole, both the men and the women, so you're going to be our representatives. But then they won, and it's like, now you have all the power, and you don't have any control in our team. And it's like, oh no. And we get to drama in the house.
I mean, listen, I did not have Tony and Avery, you know, having a whole episode of drama to themselves. Did not have that. And I'm very proud of it because, you know, I talked about Avery before, very big fan. There's a lot of things I like about Avery. And I'm glad that she's back. I think when she came back on All Stars, didn't really make that big of a splash, but she's definitely showing out now. And we were all excited to see Tony come back. He can compete very well. He's very affable. He has a lot of character to him. So it was great to see. So Darrell and Jody are going in because they were ever 1, they came in the bottom. Josh cuts a deal with Tony.
Don't put us in, we'll protect you next time. Smart deal.
Makes sense.
Smartest deal you can make.
Makes
and
sense.
that's coming from somebody that's safe. So like you have to, like, if I'm Tony, I'm taking that at face value. He's not trying to save his ass. He's going, right. I'm not going in, but if you don't send in my teammate, I got you.
It struck me though, because, you know, I'm thinking Tony's making this deal with pretty much Josh is Era 4, right?
Yep.
So I'm thinking Tony is thinking he speaks for all of Era 4. Does Josh really speak with that authority? Like, I was thinking that. I was like, can Josh even make this happen?
With Paulie gone, Josh has been there the longest with Theo. They both started on 33 on War of the Worlds. So, I mean, he's like, because Paulie started on like 31. So like, it's like or 32. So like he has been on there the longest. So, I mean, kind of, who else are you going to listen to on that team if we're being honest? You know what I mean? It makes sense. And he also has relationships with people all the way down through Era 2.
You know, it's funny because at this point I was thinking to her, I was like, Horacio is probably one of the most respected challengers, as in on how they perform. And he's pretty well liked by everybody. So disconnected. And I kept thinking, I was just like, this is where not having Nerys really hurts, because Nerys can easily be Horacio's mouthpiece.
And this is where not having Paulie hurts. This episode, Paulie's there. None of this happens.
Paulie would have been so good to lead this fucking alliance. He would have been so good, so good. And at this point, I'm thinking, I'm like, damn, this is Nerys and Paulie's absence is really being felt this episode without really being acknowledged, that how bad it's being felt. Because you got Josh cutting these deals, and I don't think it's a bad deal. I don't know, something about Josh having authority. I don't know.
You were talking bingo cards, or I think you said bingo card, or not what you were expecting. Nobody would have got a bingo tonight, because here's what was on everybody's bingo cards. It was Tony and Avery being in power and being the main drama story. It was Emily and Brad hooking up out of nowhere.
That was wild. You know what's funny too? I just seen them both in Chicago last year. Yeah, okay. the Challenge Mania Chicago.
So it was also Era 4 coming in last place. We didn't have that. Also, targets getting thrown on at the very end where you can call it any person you want.
A,
And
a
then
lot of
also,
surprises.
and also the people in power for the very first time not able to come to a decision and sending themselves in on the first opportunity. That's a bingo right there that nobody would have got.
Ever, ever. And oh God, I can't wait till we talk about that. All right, so Aviv is obvious. I mean, not Aviv. Avery is obviously not going to pick Derek and Aviv. They are tight, and she wants to stand on that. I get that. Tony wants to take big shots, but he's aligned himself with the people who to take big shots at. Ever four.
No, I disagree. But go on, go on.
Okay.
I think there's more depth to this than like we're all perceiving.
So I thought Casey and Kylan's approach was right. Hey, we're honest. We play a straight game. And think about it. We're going to be in positions of power in the future. This can really, really help you. And in reality, I think for Ever 3, that makes the most sense. Ever 3 is going to want to... I think Ever 2 would be a better matchup, but I think they're going to be much harder to work with. You got a Bananas and a Laurel. I think it's going to be much harder to turn those people around. If 3 and 4 got together, one and 2 is going to be cooked. But I did like their approach to it. One of the things that did shock me is, and I get it, Darrell was just like, we want Aviv and Derek.
Hail between his legs.
It makes sense because if you want to come back, this is the easiest way to do it. I didn't like it though. With all of the history of Aviv just coming back, she's right to feel some kind of way. I understand why he made that decision. I'm not knocking it. It's not a decision I would have made.
He could have just said, if it's physical, Kylan's a beast. No offense, Derek. I'd rather go against you, but I don't want to. I don't want to go compete against Aviv. How easy is that to say? I want to go against Derek, not Aviv. Just say that. He doesn't say, I'd rather go against Derek and Aviv. Like, that's dumb.
Yeah.
It's dumb and it's cowardly is what it is. It's a dog with his tail between his legs and just saying, well, you know, I probably can't beat the tough guy, so I'll take out my friend because it's easy for me. Here's the big thing, and this is 2 episodes in a row now that Darrell has shown poor character, in my opinion. Yeah, Derek, thank you for getting my back and everything. I won't do that for you. Yeah, I'll go in against Aviv because it's easier matchup.
I'm willing to give that first episode some deference to him being on TV and just kind of saying it, even if it is kind of true. I guess
how Darrell always plays. Darrell always plays him first. Everybody else doesn't exist. He plays how Sandra Diaz Twine plays Survivor, which is anybody but me. And that's how she's won twice. That's how Darrell's a winner. He doesn't care about anybody else on his team or anybody else playing as long as he gets to the final and gets money. That's all that matters.
He's old enough. But here's the thing is, and I was just about to say, and I contradicted myself. I was about to say, well, he's old enough. He's not about to start changing now. Not true. CT changed up his whole gameplay and started racking up more wins in his big age than when he was in his prime. CT is not prime CT, even though CT now will still eat fucking 90% of these challenges up.
Yeah.
No problem. But he changed his gameplay. And I think Darrell needs to kind of do that, being for the fact that he has relied so much on being a physical beast and he's just not that anymore.
He hasn't won since season 12.
Yeah, it's been a while.
28 seasons ago. That's a long time.
That is a very long time.
Add an All-Stars in there. Over 30 different competitions have went through and he hasn't won. He's only sniffed one final, and that's All-Stars 2, and that's All-Stars 1, and that's because they let 10 people go. Oh, yeah, he won. Yeah. That's right. I take that back. Yeah. Okay. He won Champs versus Pros 1 with Cara.
But even then, that was what, 2018, 2019?
No, earlier. 2015?
Damn, was that 2015?
So technically, sidebar win, which we count those as wins, but
we count them.
Okay, but so I mean, but overall, his gameplay hasn't changed, and it has affected him. I don't like this approach just because we see so many people in this day and age that stand on morals and stand on friendship and will go in. I'm telling you right now, I thought of this, and I don't know if you believe me. If you and I were there, I would have went in to make sure I didn't have to say your name. That's simple as that. Like, I would do that. Because I think if we were on the challenge, we're not going to play just this season and be done. We're going to play again and again and again. Like,
and all reality, the same. Like what Derek did for Darrell, for me, wouldn't be a problem. Hey, if I got to go in to keep my friends safe, then that's what time it is.
I'd hope if you saw a hall brawl, you'd be like, I got it, don't worry. And then, you know, and if I saw something that was like, man, you got to go till you die, till you have no more energy. I'm like, I'm going in. That's what I'm going to do. Like,
I'm the strength. You're the conditioning and cardio.
Yeah, I'm just gonna.
Yeah. Even though a lot of people don't realize this, I am so much more faster than what I look.
Oh, and I'm not saying anything like that. I'm just saying like I've wrestled wrestlers before, and I just don't quit, and they get mad at me. Like I never win. I've wrestled
people like you before.
But like I'm not going to win. Like 40 minutes.
I'm going to wear your ass out.
Yeah.
Like I'm not going to win, but you're not your day's over after this.
Yeah. You got to tap me or I'm going to keep going.
I've wrestled people before. When I was wrestling, when I was in college, I realized I didn't really want to compete anymore. But I wanted to stay in shape and stuff. So my wrestling coach brought me in. He was just like, yeah, just drag these smaller guys, make them. And he's like, you know, same thing with jiu-jitsu. You can wrestle people bigger than you. So and when I was in jiu-jitsu, it was free. He was like, I just want you to come to the gym. He's like, 'cause you know how to wrestle, you kind of know how to fight. You know, you're kind of a tough guy. He was just like, show these people what jiu-jitsu can look like in a real world scenario. So they'd be sitting there trying to put me in an arm bar. I was like, yeah, this is cool, but check this out. And I just stand up. I was like, yeah, see, so that doesn't work. And it was really helpful. But moving back on, we got Avery versus Tony. Tony makes a case that he doesn't even really make a case. He's just like, I don't agree with what you're saying. So,
well, so I was say one thing we didn't touch on is that Darrell made a rookie mistake too. We talk about this. If you're already going into elimination, just don't say anything. Yeah. Don't make the people in power's job easier. Make them put targets on their back. Don't be like, don't even say who you want. Just be like, I'm just here to compete. I'll go against anybody. Just be like, Kylan's a beast. I respect Casey. Derek's got endurance, and Aviv is a friend. Like, compliment everybody.
We saw that in Spies, Lies, and Allies, and people saved themselves a whole lot of grief in doing that. Just don't say shit.
The point of somebody being in power is that it comes with a fallback. Yep. You are calling people in that can come back at you.
And you give the people out. Hey, I didn't want to vote for you, but they were going in. They said they wanted you. We wanted to give them what they want. It's nothing personal. They could pass the buck right on to you. Like, you don't have enough to worry about. You're about to go into elimination. Worry about that. Go stretch. Do some cardio. Go warm up. Stop taking stuff off of people's plate. So this is going to lead into the toga party. Avery's standing firm that she's not going to put Derek and Aviv in because they're tight. Makes sense. Tony isn't really even making a strong case. His case is more of just, I don't want to vote what you want to vote, and I'm willing to throw myself in. When we get down to elimination, Avery says something that I thought she was out of pocket for. She was like, Tony obviously doesn't want to be here.
I mean, maybe.
At this point in time,
right,
I'm thinking completely out of pocket. And Bananas was making such great sense. He was just like, don't put yourself on the line for people you met 2 weeks ago. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that Tony was just like, you know, the last couple of times I've been here, me and Bananas haven't been on pocket. I don't think he's really looking out for me that way. So he's not a trusted source. And I love the fact that he's willing to stand more alone than he ever did. Man, his whole challenge career would have been better being Bananas Lackey for a little bit longer.
It's worked out for Leroy. Leroy's made like 8 finals. Like, if we're just being real, he's made like 8 finals. And if you think about that, getting second or third in a final financially is better than getting sent home midway early.
35 bands back then?
So exactly. So here's the thing. This isn't just about take out the big threats of like era 4. We're thinking they're big threats because they're younger, they're in better shape, they're physical. But we also have to think of they're going to win more dailies. They're going to be in power more often. Whereas I look at era 2 and I go, Bananas, Laurel, Cara, Emily could smoke me in a final. They are all great at the end. So why don't we take out they're essentially their pawns is what they're sending, because Bananas and Laurel step back and they sent 2 other people to be representatives. They're king and queen. They're sending their pawns in to get taken out, and we'll win long game. Tony wanted to get Bananas out. He wanted to hurt his era, is how I took this move of wanting to work with era 4. His thought process, whatever, I'll go toe to toe with you because you don't got as good experience in a final. I've won a final before on Champs versus Stars 2 or 3. Whatever it was, the third charity one. He won a final. He's like, I've done this. I know who I have on my team. I got Jordan right here. If it's a team final, I don't care who's on era 4. So I get the move. I didn't realize Avery had a long relationship with Derek, just because their seasons were pretty far, like their real worlds are pretty far apart. Because I knew
Yeah.
Derek and John A, they actually lived together and were
Hmm.
servers together when they got cast on the real world, which is kind of defeats the purpose of the real world, but
Yeah,
whatever.
but yeah,
But then also having that relationship. So Avery's more connected than we thought. Like we
yeah.
way didn't underestimate this. And I think what's great about this, it's preseason. Everybody, some people that are deep into the challenge lore know about this stuff, and that's great. But for like us, like we were able to experience that firsthand and go, "Oh man, she has friends
I
everywhere."
actually did know that.
Okay, well, whatever. Me, okay. I'm naive by nature.
No, it's okay. Um, I don't
I'm
think
surprised
Tony
Tony
did it.
didn't cave. Surprised he didn't cave.
That's the thing. He probably should have. He would say, "Hey, I can't look out for you guys on this one, but I'll get you in the next one." Um, and yeah, it is surprising because he should have just caved. But I think it makes sense later on why he didn't. Because in reality, if you put in Casey and Kylan, they're probably coming back.
But here's the thing, though. He didn't like fall on the sword for anybody. He fell on the sword for his pride, whereas
Yeah.
Avery was falling on the sword to protect Derek. She was protecting somebody that will have her back. Tony was protecting somebody that was going to work era to era, not directly have Tony's back. So it was foolish of him. And he actually did
It was.
he did an interview, and it came out from the New York Post. He said that he had his reasons behind it, and unfortunately, it didn't work out. I should have known better when I saw it was a puzzle setup, and I got to live with that. Was what he quoted. He said it was short lived, but I felt like I was doing good up to that point. Felt very confident moving forward in the season. Unfortunately, I made a bonehead move and I exited early. So reflection hopefully shows growth, but also it's like
Hopefully.
his seventh, eighth season. You can't do this. Like,
Yeah, exactly. And that's the disappointing part. You've been here long enough, you know better. You didn't need
it's
bananas to tell you.
we've seen this. Like I know people hate, or I don't know if they hate this, but like Wes is my favorite challenger ever. Always has been, always will be. In All Stars 3, when he fell on the sword for Brad, he put Brad in a bad spot. He went in against Yes in the elimination and he won. If he screws over his friend outside the game, that affects him. They're friends in
Hmm.
real life. That affects him. It's like, dude, in a game, you threw me into the wolves. What are you going to do in real life? And for Tony, if he does that, Kylan and Casey are still going to have a drink with Tony at the rap party and the reunion, and they're going to see each other in New York and go out and hang out because they're
Exactly.
young and they're not really good friends. Yeah, that's the issue with this. So let's go ahead and get to the elimination. That
Oh no,
was,
no, 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 no,
oh, no, no.
no,
Oh, yeah, that's
no.
right. Because
Let's
we want
get
to talk about love.
talk about love.
Well, love making at least.
And there was a whole bunch around, but there's only one I really want to focus on.
Tori's out of pocket. I'm gonna tell you right now, before you even say anything, Tori's out of pocket. I'm telling you right now, you don't dog on your friend to people that aren't your close friends about something bad happening to your friend. You don't do it. You do it
So
behind closed doors to the other third friend in the friend group. That's it.
so Josh and Naya are shown early in this episode canoodling. He
Yeah.
likes her. Can't blame him. You know, I wasn't a big fan of Naya going all the way back to Portland and recent stuff, all the way up until All Stars appearance. I've been just off Naya for a long time.
Naya
But
was also showing affection towards Josh, right?
she
So it's
was.
not he's not just like dreaming over her.
I'm not. That wasn't the case I was making, but I do like her more now. And
Sure.
even though with that, and there was some dislike before,
Growth.
she was never not a dime. She just, you know, everything's there. So I get it. I get people. Who said it? I think Tina was just like, who wouldn't want to climb that tree or something
Yeah.
like that. Like
That's
perfectly
why
said.
Tina's here. That's why Tina's here. It is. That's
Yeah, yeah,
100%.
perfectly
And
said.
there's some Twitter beef with her and Laurel. She's been calling out like Laurel and other people on Twitter.
Yeah, no, Laura
Um,
has been doing some
no,
really bad behavior online.
I'm just saying Tina calls anything how she sees it, and that's why she's here. Like,
And that's very marketable for the challenge. So
mhm.
it was so funny because, you know, Kylan is sitting there talking to Naya about game. Naya could not give a fuck less what he was talking
Nah,
about.
what if he goes home? Boom.
And she jumped on him, and they end up going to the next room and hooking up, which is fine. These are
Yeah.
two young single people doing what young single people do. Now, during this happens, everybody knew that Josh was trying to make a play. And it was funny. So, there's some jokes going around, and Josh gets butthurt and approaches Tori, and they get into a fight. He tells enough friends. It's all just so fucking
There
funny.
had to be more there because the way that progressed was like, you're supposed to be my friend and you don't do that. We're not friends anymore, but I love you.
This was so great. And
like, what did we miss?
Let me tell you why this is so funny. One, the situation is funny because as a guy, I think we've all had to go through this at some point. I like this girl. I think she likes me. There's a vibe. There's something there. There's somebody comes to you like, hey, you still talking to that girl? Yeah. Well, she's in the next room blowing some random dude who has a Corvette.
I think I've seen like funny jokes on that. It's like, I think I met the love of my life. She's great. We talked forever. And then they pan to the side and she's like making out with somebody else. Like
exactly. And in my community, we call it getting chose. Sometimes you get chosen, sometimes you don't get chosen. I have been on both sides of this. I know what that feels fucking good. I know how it hurts. That shit can hurt.
I think everybody was saying he was hurt by it. I don't think Josh was as hurt. He came out and said she's a grown woman. She's single. Hurt. She can do what she wants. And he said, the problem I have is that Tori's making fun of me down here while I'm trying to sleep.
I'm going to get into that. And this is why I thought that was bullshit. He said exactly what he was supposed to say. As a grown, mature person who understands society norms and how they've been changing.
That still likes Naya and is still hoping he has a chance later on.
Right. That is exactly what you're supposed to say. Hey, she doesn't owe me anything. Nothing is more pathetic than a man laying claim to some vagina that does not belong to him. He said all of the right things, and he was right to say those because that is exactly what you're supposed to say.
But it could be true. Growth is real. He was mad at Tori.
But and this proves these are interviews that take place a couple days later or a couple months down the line because his actions immediately goes against everything he just said. Yes, they was making fun, and he should have just ignored it if he really wasn't feeling some kind of. But the fact of the matter is, being for the fact that I've been in this kind of a situation too, and I think most men at some point has gone through something like that. We know that in the moment, that's not how you feel.
He's heated.
You're so mad. Like, and I know I'm a terrible person that I took so much pleasure in that. I was just like, because it's going to make you angry, and it is embarrassing. And Josh is continuously embarrassed in his pursuit of women on the challenge. Here's the funny thing is the challenge is full of beautiful, beautiful women. And I can't think of any time Josh has actually closed on any of them.
I mean, not that's like really public and everything that we're shown. I think it does happen. It's hard not to
have one.
Yeah, but no, but here's the thing though. He has he's like 6'4", right? Like 6'5". Like that's natural. It is so natural that he will get chosen. And I'm sure in everyday life he does a lot. I mean, it's the truth. It's the truth. Right. Here's the thing though, is that alcohol was obviously at play. This was like an old school party that they had. Everybody dressing up.
It was great too, by the way.
Cara, hilarious. I think Johnny jumping in Jenny's arms, hilarious. Like it was funny. So I think alcohol was flowing, but think of what Tori said. If I would have known that me making fun of you to those people would have hurt your feelings, I never would have done it. What do you mean if you knew? Like, we get told this in elementary school. If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it at all because it hurts people's feelings.
Sir, please step out of this golden fantasy world you're living at.
I'm just saying.
Every time this has happened to somebody, because when you don't get chosen, it is usually the embarrassing part is that everybody knows you like this person. Everybody knows you're trying to make this happen. And then the other person usually pretty publicly hooks up with somebody else. That's what makes it hurt so much. And that also is what makes it funny. And let me tell you something. Every guy has been teased about that at some point.
Right. God, but not so literally while it's happening. Not while it's happening. It's normally like later in the night or like the next morning being like, hey, why'd you sleep alone last night? I thought you were talking to blah, blah.
It's not our fault they got better timing. That's true. It builds so much character because it only needs to happen a couple of times before as a man, you still up and get a little bit more reserved about your feelings and stuff. It is a tough life lesson everybody has to go through at some point. And it was just great watching this happen to Josh. Josh, as far as I know, he can't close on jack shit at all. And to me, this is just so funny. It is so funny he got into his feelings about it. It is so funny that he was hurt by this. And don't get me wrong, I understand it's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt. I dedicated a song to him on Twitter. The name of the song is That Your Bitch by Jay-Z featuring Memphis Bleek and Missy Elliott. Was one of my favorite songs in the world. And it's become even better after you realize the song is actually about Nas's baby mother that Jay-Z has actually slept with, which makes it even that much more vicious. And it was one of my favorite songs. I played it all the time because I was always the one being chosen. And then you know what happened? It happened to me. Yeah, it happened to me. And I barely listened to that song. That song hurts now.
It makes sense when you're not as good of a rapper as somebody. You got to try and go at them a different way. So
don't do that. Don't do that.
I don't care what anybody says. Nas, Jay-Z. I don't care what anybody says.
Here goes something crazy. You're not wrong there. Especially recently, Nas has put out 4 or 5 super. In fact, he just got his first Grammy and got several other Grammy nominations. He had 3 King Disease albums and 2 Magic albums. And let me tell you something. You thought Nas was in his prime. He is putting out some amazing projects, especially lately. Jay-Z's last project was 444, which was what, 6 years ago? 5, 6 years ago, something like that. So he's doing great. And lyrically wise, is he a better rapper? Probably, but Jay-Z is the bigger artist.
All right, let's get to the elimination. Let's get back on this. Let's finish off this episode.
I just want to make fun of Josh for a little bit.
I know.
It's not your girl. You got hurt. Ha ha.
So we get to elimination, and yeah, I'm surprised. I'm surprised. TJ was kind of soft on Avery and Tony. Like, kind of said they were the most stubborn people there, but like,
I don't know. But TJ was just like, I told you, don't fuck with me. I was like, oh, I like that version of TJ sometimes. Yeah. All right, so moving off from Josh striking out again for the 9th, 10th time. Let's go ahead and move into elimination. Tony and Avery stalemated. Fucking stupid. TJ brought him down. I agree with you. TJ actually could have been harder on them. And this is the part where I think Avery said that, Tony doesn't want to be here, and I got offended. And judging by his behavior during this final, that's exactly what it was.
Yeah, during this elimination. Yeah, it was like, what's going on? Like, Darrell said Darrell.
Yeah, threw out his back.
That's white Darrell is Darrell. But anyways, yeah, Darrell threw out his back and still was like outpacing. And it
smoked his boots. Wasn't even close. Wasn't even remotely close. And he had his team helping him. Absolutely.
He had everybody helping him, and I don't understand what the problem was.
He was the problem. It was absolutely pathetic. In fact, his comeback to the challenge has been pathetic. The only way that the only comment I have for his comeback is 1 or 2 words, either limp or flaccid. I love nothing about this Tony Daz comeback.
The problem is that it took away a really good spot from an Era 3 person. We're talking Zach, Frank, Hunter, like champions that we could have included, that could have easily been here. And it just didn't fit. Like, we could have there were so many guys we could have gotten. It would have been so much better. And it just really kind of dampened the whole competition spirit of it.
Go home to your family, man. Fuck up out of here. There's nothing even to really talk about. Like, you got dusted by Darrell,
but then again, we have to say, because we did kind of think, Leroy probably wanted to go home too. Like, he probably regretted going, took the paycheck. It was a really nice paycheck, but I want to see my kids. Tony, I don't think wants to be away from his family.
That makes sense.
It makes a whole lot of sense. And so we're sitting here and like Era 3 should be the easiest era to cast. It is the easiest era to cast of good competitors because there's so many. Like, they had the most misses of people left off.
And multiple champions.
I mean, it's not like it was a great representation, but like, we literally just had Jay come back and redeem himself. You could have brought Jay back in and it would have fit just fine. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just
You
just
could have
the
brought you could have
absolute
brought
worst.
Johnny Riley in, and we could have had that
Oh
dynamic
man, that would have
even.
been great. I was just, I was thinking about that too because Rachel put out something. She's like, yeah, for all the Avery haters out there. And I was like, who the fuck hates Avery? I don't think anybody hates Avery.
Johnny Riley.
And that's the only thing, like, except for maybe Johnny Riley, is
Even
just
could have
about
brought
it.
somebody from the St. Thomas cast. We could have brought Rob back out.
That
That
would have been great. Where's
Rob would have been
CJ at?
him. CJ would have been a really good challenger for this season too. Like, no, CJ would have been era 2. He was on Fresh Meat 2. He'd have been era 2. That was season 19.
I'm sorry, CJ, the kicker.
Yep. He was the first person from Real World Cancun on the Real World, and then
Yep.
season 20 had Derek, and then season 21 had John A.
Got you. Oh man,
And Jasmine. Yeah.
Now the only real one, and the name of this elimination is One Step at a Time. The only real one to talk about is going to be Jody versus Avery. This was great because both of these girls were really trying. Jody really want to be here. Avery really had something to prove with being thrown in against her will. There was this whole narrative about, men making the decisions for women and women having to go by. And, I saw a lot of people rolling their eyes, but they're not wrong. They're
No.
not wrong. CT said it before. Women run this game. Women run this game. I forget who he was talking to, but he was talking to somebody who's being a bonehead. Like, they do run this game and they do make the decisions. You got to make nice with them. And they don't got to go along. But we've seen it happen multiple times. The women want to make moves or make decisions, and they are just out yelled at by the men. So I thought that was really, really great for the women on the show. I thought it was really great for Avery. And I thought it really raised her profile too, because she came back in All Stars. It was still kind of low profile. So this was really, really great. This was a great win for her. It sucks to see Jody on the other side of this, but Jody's also getting up there in the big age. She has had a great challenge career, has done many great things, but guess what? The younger bull came in and took it away. So,
And the big thing is that they both made a mistake. Had Jody not made a mistake, she would have won because Avery was like 4 or 6 stones away and had to reset. Yeah, I was surprised nobody counted stones before to start, like of how many they got and how many they can use. Like I only got 4 blue.
The damn instructions was so complicated.
Which is the whole point, because the challenge itself was easy of carrying this, set it here. That's all you got to do. So they had to make it confusing, and it was even
very
us
confusing.
Watching, you couldn't easily pick it up.
I started typing it, and then I was just like, I'm not typing this. I'm like, whatever, I'm confused. And then it was nice to see all of the challengers go like, what the fuck? I'm kind of confused too. And this is one of those eliminations. I know we talked about, getting help from the peanut gallery, but I'm kind of okay with this one, especially with how confusing it was, people cheering on their team. I think it was fine in this case. And I give, and they even with Tony, man, they tried helping him. How did you fuck this up? It's I did not love that. But I love the parallels between Avery and Tony here. It was really, really great. It was great to see Avery, really start coming to her own, stand on her own 2 feet. It was just great to see. Great storytelling.
It made her look better than she has been. So now we get to the point where they can kind of pick their targets. And I think this is the best way you had to do this, because if people had to like nominate themselves, it's kind of like, well, now everybody's going to be too cowardly to nominate. So what do? You put targets in there, and let's talk about it right now. The women, there some standouts, but for guys, right now, next week, going home is either Derek K, Johnny Bananas, Jordan, or Horacio. Going home.
That is fucking murderer's row. It was great. They did a great job. Avery did a great job at picking the targets, just absolute flawless. And even better, she had to do it on the spot. So I give her all of the credit in the world. She came up with a great lineup. Also in this part, you see Jordan kind of step up and pick me.
But here's the thing though. She shouldn't have picked Johnny Bananas and Derek and Horacio. Because Jordan was going to nominate himself, you should put targets on the weakest guys. So just in case Jordan comes back home. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you should have put in Brad and Ryan and Josh, because then if you happen to lose and go in, Jordan, that's who he gets to go against. That's how my thought process would be. But again, it'll take some time before people get that strategy in the game going.
Also, there's very few people here who has beaten Jordan. I think just Horacio and Bananas off the top of my head. So,
Yeah.
like, you kind of put your guy into a dangerous position here. But I feel like, man, when Jordan stepped up, it's one of those things I was like, God, I hate him so much. But I also kind of love him because
Yeah.
he's everything I want in a challenger. It is just so the duality of it all. I realize that I love Jordan.
Yeah. So it's gonna be really interesting to see what's gonna happen.
I also hate him. And hate is how I would like to end today's episode. Great episode. Really excited to see what we get next week. Tyler, thank you so much for joining us here at Love War Challenges. Anyway, once again, I am MTV Malik. He is Tyler Louder. This is Love War Challenges. Good night.